All right, moving on. We got some unfortunate news this week about the future of the Deus Ex franchise, or even if there will be a future.
Don't say that.
No, I know. So, like last year, last August, we got Deus Ex: Mankind Divided.
Yes.
You reviewed it. You liked it very much.
Yes,
I played it. I liked it very much. Did everyone play it here?
No, I dabbled in it, but I was reviewing something.
Yeah, I played a little bit of it, but I enjoyed what I did.
Yeah, I finished the game, and I talked about this on the show before. I was enjoying that game, and then I came to the first boss fight, and then I beat the first boss, and I was like, oh, that was the end of Act 1. But then, nope, the credits rolled in that game. So it's like a cool game that felt unfinished. And now we get word this week that apparently the developer Eidos is working on the next Tomb Raider game instead of the next Deus Ex, and they also have this deal with Square Enix to work on Marvel games, and the Deus Ex series is being put on hiatus.
Which is really sad because, so about Mankind Divided and the story, I just want to be clear, and I think you could probably agree with this too, is that it seemed abrupt the way it ended, but it wasn't. It didn't seem abrupt because the game had been so short. In terms of the amount of time, the play time, the amount of time you spent playing the game, and the amount of what kind of real estate there is there to play around in was totally comparable to Human Revolution. The difference was is that in terms of the story, the story was much more zoomed in to one event. I don't want to spoil anyone, but basically what happens at the beginning of the game is what you focus in on the whole time, and there's a specific reason for that because it felt like the end of Chapter 1 because Eidos Montreal have. When I went there to preview Mankind Divided, the head of the studio told me that they had Deus Ex games planned out to 2025.
So what happened to all those plans?
So yeah,
that's all just being shelved.
Obviously it has to do with the fact that Deus Ex didn't perform to their.
We don't have exact sales numbers, but the week or the month that it was out, it was number 3 on MPD. So it must have done fairly well at launch.
What was it? Was it August?
I think it was August or September. It was later last summer.
Yeah, around there. Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, what is
before the October crush of games?
Yeah, does that say more about the month though, or the quality of the game?
I don't know. I also,
it wasn't like it didn't have a lot of competition around that time.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think the thing is that games. There's also games similar to it that do things in a way that's a little bit more
Dishonored.
Yeah, sure. Dishonored is a great example of a game that does the similar kinds of things where it's melding stealth and action and kind of RPG style choice in this really fluid kind of organic way. Like Dishonored is way more like I feel like a player's game. It's a go and do and learn by doing, and I feel like Deus Ex is like you have to have methodical understanding of your environment and of the gameplay systems, and if you don't, then it can feel really bad. Like if you play Deus Ex as a shooter, I mean, I would say Mankind Divided feels better than Human Revolution did, but it's still, for the most part, if you're comparing the two by how things feel when things go wrong, it feels a lot more fun to play Dishonored when things go wrong than when Deus Ex when things go wrong in Deus Ex. And the thing is that with modern stealth games, especially in like the perspective that they play in, things always inevitably go wrong. Like you don't have a top-down perspective to see what's happening around you. So I think like that chaos breaks out, then Deus Ex feels like a pseudo-passable, decent shooter, and Dishonored 2, you feel like you're a badass, like, human slaying god basically, and people like that experience more. So I just feel like Dishonored 2 is an easier sell and kind of has more momentum. I don't know.
Yeah, but Deus Ex has a longer history. Going back to what, around 2000, the first Deus Ex?
99 or 2000 when the first one comes out. Yeah, I mean, that's old man games, Damon. You know that.
That's us.
that's us. For the,
I know I give Mankind Divided a hard time for feeling unfinished, but I totally had fun with that game. But when I compare it to something like Uncharted 4, that feels like this huge, big, complete adventure with a beginning, a middle, and an end, even an epilogue tacked on. When I compare it to something like that, I just felt like I was in the middle of Mankind Divided and it just ended. So that wouldn't bother me as much if I knew I was going to continue that story in a year or two. But now it's like,
I think it means it's on hold because they really only officially were talking about the Avengers and other Marvel projects they have going on. So I'm sure at some point they will look into returning to Deus Ex. I know they haven't really officially been talking about the next Tomb Raider game yet either. So it depends where they're going to end up putting their resources.
But totally makes sense. Like with Infinity War coming up, like you definitely want to have your resources making a game that they know is going to sell just on the name alone, right? Rather than, like you said, as much as you'd love to see it or we'd love to see it, like you have a small window to capitalize on a new Avengers movie coming out. So like it makes sense to put things on hold and prioritize.
It's also a marketing play too. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, look, I know I'm one of the few people I think who actually liked the character of Adam Jensen, but I feel
thought
like
it's cool.
Yeah, I think I like him, and I kind of like his understated, gruff, like almost removed and not actually that human or demonstrably emotional like demeanor. I kind of like that about him. I think it's interesting and not the same as every other kind of wisecracking hero. But the
Also very long arms.
also very long arms.
Yeah. Good wingspan.
But the wisecracking hero is kind of what sells. Like just from a marketing standpoint, you let someone watch 30 seconds of Nathan Drake talking versus Adam Jensen, and there's one game you want to play, one guy you want to spend lots of hours with. So I think that has a role in it too. It's just hard to market, I think, a character like Adam Jensen to a modern audience.
Yeah, and the Avengers has 6 wisecracking heroes.
Exactly.
So that's easier to market.
One of whom is always angry.
Yeah,
so,
that's his
I mean, yeah, it totally goes back to, do you remember the big, what was it, 2014? Like, some like 8 out of 10 of the year's big AAA titles had a white guy walking towards the camera with a buzzed head.
That the
Yeah.
Bioshock Infinite year?
And Bioshock, and there was a Mass Effect, Mass Effect 3.
Bioshock 2012. 13. Maybe 13.
I have no idea when
Years go
anything
by.
happened.
Yeah, exactly. So games came out then, and a lot of the box arts had the same guy on it, and it totally makes sense. Like you see that, and you see something that it's not clearly as defined and clearly as tested as that, and it's hard to make that sell, right? Like I know what I'm getting when I see the battlefield soldier walk towards me. Like I'm gonna get to be that guy, but I see Adam Jensen right there, and I assume we're going to shoot people, but I'm not 100%. Not 100%.
You don't have to shoot people.
It's true.
That's the beauty of Deus Ex.
Also, he looks like a sad boy, and people just don't give sad boys a chance.
It's just like I feel like we're going to have to talk about what's bothering him. And like, I don't know.
Probably all the cybernetics. Just
No one has time for that.
I guess.